Hi all, Once and Future Gamer here and welcome to another Pokemon challenge. Last time we took on Pokemon Crystal with only HM moves, which was definitely fun. Let's move back to the era of single Pokemon runs today, as for the first time we head to Gen 7 and I answer the question of if I can beat Pokemon Ultra Sun with only a single Growlithe. It is not the first time I've used Growlithe, so this isn't going to be entirely unfamiliar. We've got a 350 base stat total, with our best stats being both our attacks at 70. Speed isn't bad, our physical defence is probably the worst at 45, so we might be able to dish it out but perhaps not take it in the best way. Hisuian Growlithe is more a physical attacker than special, but we can go whichever way we like. We are mono fire type, so we have those traditional weaknesses and resistances of being weak to rock, ground and water, as well as resisting the 6 types of bug, steel, fire, grass, ice and fairy, though we can get immunity to fire too if we have the flash fire ability. Our moveset isn't too bad, we do get some fire moves as well as dark, fighting and normal type moves, plus the dragon type Outrage. Crunch might be one to keep, but we'll have to see for sure. Most of the best moves aren't available until later in the learn set, so that's something to keep in mind. I suppose Flame Wheel early on isn't too bad. We don't get a whole lot by TM. I can't remember what's pre and post game in this game, so although Wild Charge sounds useful, it genuinely might not be until after the league battle with How, so I don't know. I will look it up as we go along. There's not really anything useful by Move Tutor either. This challenge was suggested by JWJ shortly after the 100th challenge aired, requesting a Growlithe challenge after a tragic personal event, and with no game specified, I decided that I might as well jump in at the deep end and try this one out, just to see how it goes. I've never done Ultra Sun before, I have played Ultra Moon before, but not for a while. As always, the rules are on the screen throughout. If you do enjoy what you see, then like, subscribe and ring that bell. Thanks for watching folks, let's get it on. I suppose I should get ready for cutscenes out the wazoo. I use the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Rowlet with Growlithe so that I can do the whole run with it. I chose to replace Rowlet so that How would take Popplio, which is the hardest for us to fight. This is one of those games where the rival takes the starter that is weak to yours, so I am redressing the balance. As requested in the challenge submission, I nicknamed the Growlithe Teddy for JWJ's deceased doggo. Sorry for your loss again. I know it was a while back, but like any loss, it affects you. I know this since I've lost 2 dogs in my life. Teddy has the Flash Fire ability, so immunity to fire moves and we get boosted by them. Plus, we have the Quiet Nature, which is more special attack and less speed by the looks of it. So, that could work out quite well. I mean, our speed isn't too bad to start off with. We'll probably need to be over leveled for some of the fights, so with that, speed comes naturally. Anyway, it isn't long before we fight How and his Popplio. Want to take a guess at how this plays out? I mean, it's a lot of pomp, a lot of build up before the battle begins, and when it does, Teddy and Popplio trade blows. We go for a bite after Popplio hits a pound on us. So, it's an even opening exchange before we hit a second bite. We don't get the flinch, and then Popplio just ends us hard with a single water gun that wrecks all our hit points and we take the loss. Drat! Okay, I'll get revenge sooner or later. It is a long time since I've played this game, so I have to work out where the next major fight is, but I think it might be the Alima one. I've realised a few things while walking there. 1, I forgot that there's no HM moves in this game, so Rule 2 from the side of the screen is irrelevant. Normally, in 3DS games, there's the Pokemon Ami thing. I think it's called Pokemon Refresh here. There's something similar in this game, so I'll probably miss that out. Also, Z moves. I figure it's probably fine. There might be times when I need to use them, because by having the Z crystal on, I'm denying myself another item, so it's probably about balanced in hindsight. I'm more worried about getting hit by Z moves. Let's just leave it at that. It is actually another How fight next, which I'm somewhat worried about given how we lost the last one. So I think we might be in for a world of pain up ahead. Worst case scenario? I don't know what the worst case scenario is, but I guess we'll have to see how it plays out, I suppose. He has an extra member to his team, this time in a Pichu, and it duly survives our Ember attack, which isn't good. But then it goes to Charm, which is even worse because now our physical attack is doubly cut. That's insanely annoying because we are going to struggle versus Popplio badly now. Pichu does go down, but Popplio actually goes okay, mainly because it never goes for a water move, which is pretty good and it's pretty handy. It's only pound attacks that she goes for. We do get a flinch right at the start off Bite, and when the Popplio hits a Growl to cut our attack further, we start to go for Embers instead, and we do get a burn. Still, she never tries to drench us, and we soon take the Popplio out for a victory. I'll take it. Great tactics, How. The next fight is the Alima one, after some travelling, and this does not go to plan. After much talking, we fight off some Team Skull members and then throw down with the trial captain. The fact that we get messed up by his Yungoos doesn't help. It hits us hard and we lose most of our HP to a crit tackle, though we do eventually take it down after 3 hits. Smeargle is faster than us, which is not words that you want to hear, and it does take us down eventually with a few tackles, which, very not good. And we have to win this fight to progress, so I guess I best go and train up. I come back at level 16, and this time, when we face off with the trial captain, things go a lot better as Teddy unleashes the ferocious Bite. We outspeed Yungoos and hit it with a Bite, but there's no flinch unfortunately, and we get hit with a Leer, which, not ideal at all, but then we finish that off pretty quickly, so at least we got out mostly unscathed. Smeargle comes in, and although we get hit with 2 tackles, we don't get crit this time, so we can weather them, and we soon down it with a pair of Bites for victory. We have the Totem fight next against the Gumshoes, and I'm curious as to how these will play out as the game advances. The idea makes me wonder because I recall them being somewhat tricky potentially in my previous playthroughs of this game in the past, but at the same time it's probably worth remembering I'm likely going to be at a higher level than in previous run-throughs of this game, so swings and roundabouts I guess. I just never liked the idea of 2 versus 1, perhaps that's what worries me, but meh. Anyway, Totem battle, and we just keep on hitting our attacks as much as we can. We're very much a physical attacker at the moment with our moves, and the Totem Pokemon has a boosted defense aura, which isn't helpful. We are a higher level though, and even with the boost, we soon put the hurt on it. So much so that it calls in help, but we soon defeat the Yungoos it calls in to try and help. I always get these 2 Pokemon mixed up in my head, don't know why, probably because I don't care about them even slightly enough to try and differentiate them. Anyway, we soon take the victory when the Gumshoes goes crashing down to give us a win. Have I got memories of this game? Ultra Sun? No. Like I said, it was actually Ultra Moon I played before, but potato potato. I always feel like, as I remember this game, there's quite a good story to it, so it's nice to experience it. Last time I played this was probably during one of the lockdowns a few years back. Don't exactly know when. I did try to do one some time back. I tried to do this game with a single Poipole, but for whatever reason something went wrong with either the ROM or the software right at the start. I don't recall what it was and I never went back to it, but yeah, I'll not worry too much about it. I feel like Gen 7 is the gen I'm least familiar with for sure. As I leave the caves following the rescue of Nebby, I'm ambushed by How for another rival fight, and we are getting stronger. We do have a level lead on him now. He begins with Popplio, and although we do more than half with a single bite and flinch hit, she has a citrus berry, and also starts spamming Baby Doll Eyes, which is annoying since that move is priority. We do bring her down quickly with 2 more bites, but our attack is lowered now. Then it's Noibat, and I'm not too concerned. We bite away at the bat and drop it in 2 hits. Not ever going to be an issue, that thing. When it evolves, maybe, but now, at that level, nope. Pikachu is a 2-hit with Flame Wheel. We have to shrug off a Thunder Shock in exchange, but thankfully we don't get paralysed, so him trying to leap on me and take me by surprise didn't work. We have got the fight with Hala next, and what worries me is that we don't have much in the way of super effective moves, since we are pretty neutral versus fighting types. Bite isn't going to be too effective, and it's the first time we're going to face a Z move, which is probably going to be an issue throughout the game. Machop is a 2-hit with Flame Wheel, but we do get hurt somewhat badly in the exchange, which very much not ideal, and things are then made even worse when Mah-Dry-Bread comes out and slams us with a fake out, putting us on about a third of our health. We do have reversal, which is something for sure, but it's almost a 2-hit on Mah-Dry-Bread, and we get sprayed with Sand Attack. And then, although we hit Growlithe with a reversal, it doesn't do much damage, and we get absolutely wrecked by its Z move, which is pretty unfortunate for sure. All out pummeling takes out all our remaining health to give us the loss. I train up to level 25 and I've gotten takedown in the process, so maybe I should try and outdo Growlithe with my own Z move before it can nail me with its own. So I'll try that, I think. We are going to get hurt in the exchange with Machop and Mah-Dry-Bread, that's for sure. I do try this exchange and it mostly works. Here is the rub. Machop is a 2-hit takedown with Flame Wheel, but we do get hit with Revenge in exchange, which quite annoying. Mah-Dry-Bread is even worse because not only is there a fake out, but it repeatedly then spams Sand Attack on us. We don't miss that many attacks, so that is something, but he does use a Super Potion, which is annoying, but eventually we bring it down, so massive relief. Then Growlithe, and we smash into it with a breakneck blitz, using our Z power to boost takedown. Growlithe takes it and survives on red health, which is infuriating, before again it wrecks us with all out pummeling to bring us down. I go and get to level 27, and can I just talk about the pain here? Most of the stuff we are grinding up on is half our level, so yeah, that's really not fun. I even had a look at the moveset. We can't get Aerial Ace until the next island. We don't learn Player Up in this game, which I'm a bit upset about. That would have made things easier, for sure. But yeah, hopefully we can one-hit Growlithe this time. Or a crit on Machop or Mah-Dry-Bread. That might let us survive something. Machop only goes for Focus Energy, and despite him dropping a Super Potion, we can soon bring it down hard to give us the win with 3 Flame Wheels, and I'm feeling confident here. Mah-Dry-Bread does go for the fake out and a Sand Attack. 2 Flame Wheels come crashing into it though, and we drop it to give us the win. Then Growlithe comes out, and our breakneck blitz just full on one hits it this time, and yes, we've done it. We have finally cleared the first island trial. We're on our way to the next island then, with a spot of Mantine surfing. I didn't want to use Z moves unless I had to, but well, the needs must. And that super powerful move thing is a new element to the challenge idea that I've never had to deal with before, so we will have to counter it somehow. Hopefully, once we start getting better moves, things pick up. I think there's a How fight up ahead, but maybe it's a bit further along than I think it is. We should be fine by then. Yeah, there is a How fight in Paniola Town, or whatever it's called. Yeah, you don't get that level of care and quality in other Pokemon challenges, do you folks? I thought it was as soon as you got to the island, but now I think about it, I think that's the next island. His starter has evolved, and that could be more dangerous, so when the battle begins and he opens with Brione, we breakneck blitz it straight off the bat and end it pretty hardily. Best not to take chances. Pikachu goes down to a Flame Burst, which is nice, before Noibat is next, and this time we hit takedown and drop it on the spot to give us that third victory. He's acquired himself an EV now, and another Flame Burst drops it quickly to give us the win in the fight, and we can move on. So, I do find out shortly afterwards that we'd have the Rock type hidden power with Teddy, so I'm trying to work out if that's actually much use or not. I'm not against it, there's probably something there we can do it with. Oh, that's another one I thought about doing in this game, Rockruff Challenge, but never went ahead. I think it might even still be on the pinned tweet on my Twitter feed, but I don't know, I'd have to look, I can't comment. So then, the next bit of the game should be suitably awkward since we have Lana's trial and there's going to be water types about. Oh actually, I'm pretty sure there's an Araquanid somewhere which is bug and water, so rock would actually be super effective there. Don't know if it'd be better than Stab Flame Burst or not. However, there is a Gladion fight next and it takes me somewhat by surprise. I wasn't quite expecting it, but let's get this on anyway. I thought we didn't start fighting him until later, but oh well, that's fine. He begins with a Zorua, disguised as a Zubat, and we down it with a Flame Burst for a quick knockout, before the real Zubat comes out to battle, and we also shoot that down with a Flame Burst. So, we've unleashed our firepower suitably, and then we fight Type Null. This is somewhat more fireproof and takes less than half its health from Flame Burst, as it hits us with Pursuit and Tackle, but a reversal and another Flame Burst soon bring it down. Right then, I have got the Water Trial next. I really need to decide what I'm doing with my moveset. I don't want to get rid of the Fire move, and I don't want to get rid of Reversal, since I may need that for the Kahuna battle on this island. I think I'll need it for her Lycanroc. Bite, I don't want to get rid of. Might be Takedown then, I'll get shut of that for now. We do get Retaliate at level 32, but we're not going to be able to make the best of it. Actually, I'm going to try and Breakneck Blitz the Totem, and that really doesn't go to plan. Our Breakneck Blitz does slightly over half, so as a result, we can slowly get whittled down. It hits 2 bubbles, rain-backed bubbles I'll add, and lowers our speed. We also get paralysed by Masquerade, which isn't ideal. I'll try again with Hidden Power, and it doesn't do any sort of good. In fact, there are a lot of failed attempts here. I try it with the Citrus Berry on a bunch of times for health recovery. I try a lot of efforts with Bite to try and get a flinch, and we just don't get the appropriate level of fortune. Hidden Power does slightly under half its health, and as a result, 2 hits just aren't quite enough. And I make about a dozen tries before I hit on the idea of using the Expert Belt to boost the power of super effective moves. And when that effort comes around, we can 2-hit Araquanid with the move. Now, we have to hope it doesn't lower our speed with Bubble, but it doesn't, and even though it calls the Masquerade, who both paralyses us and uses Tailwind, we can drop it with another Hidden Power, quad effective damage, for finally getting the win. It's the Fire Trial next, I think. Oh well, there's also the Battle Royale before that, and it's an interesting little idea for sure. I don't hate this whole thing. If you put it into context of mandatory Pokemon based actions that you have to do in these games, it is head and shoulders ahead better than, say, the Pokestar Studio bit in Black and White 2, which is probably the misfire of those games. But yeah, I definitely can't complain about the way this is going so far. I still want to do type-themed playthroughs of these games, and I definitely do one of this game somewhere. But like anything, it's finding the time for sure. Anyway, after having to watch the dancing Alola Marowak for Kiawe's trial, we soon have to have the battle against another Totem Pokemon. And I really doubt that I am going to be too worried about this one. I'm pretty sure it'll be easier than the last one, definitely. What's it really going to do to me? We hit the Totem with Hidden Power, but Cursed Body activates and disables the move, which isn't ideal before it does smash us with Brick Break and calls for a Salazzle to help. We do take the Marowak out with a Bite before turning our attention to the Salazzle, who blasts us with Venoshock. We flinch her with Bites. We soon bring her down by finishing her off with a Hidden Power, and that gives us a very smooth win. After running along routes 8 and 5, we have to contend with Mallow's trial, where we have to go foraging for ingredients. The caveat being that the local Pokemon may attack you after the fact if you take something they see as theirs. The bad news is that the local Pokemon are Formantis, and we've got a Growlithe, so bad luck chaps! Mallow gets cooking and we soon get attacked by the Totem Lurantis, which is a bit more formidable, but we should be fine. It hits an X-Scissor, which we shrug off, and then calls a Comfey to help. Now, when we keep landing Flame Bursts on it, it goes badly because we can't quite knock it out and it heals itself with Synthesis, and the Comfey also heals it, so we are locked into a bit of a vicious cycle. We keep blasting them both, but the Lurantis will not die, right up until the point that the Comfey makes the brave choice to use Sunny Day, and suddenly that looks a bad decision as we burn it up, and it's not long before we take the Comfey out too. The Lurantis does have Solar Blade and that might mess us up, but it's too busy playing defense to attack. Another trial down. I'm worried about the Kahuna battle on this island for sure. Remember how we kept getting messed up by Hala's Z-move in the previous one? Well, Olivia has one that does super effective damage on us, so that's going to be even worse. I mean, I could use Protect, I guess. I mean, it does mitigate some of the damage, but not all of it. Before that, there is an encounter with Plumeria, and I'm not too worried, though she does have a pretty cool character design. I say I'm not worried, and watch how that statement goes on to haunt me. Golbat is faster and hits both Confuse Ray and Wing Attack, which, not ideal, but we do fight through Confusion both times and take it out with 2 hidden powers. Then comes Salandit, and this is a problem. We get poisoned, we hit ourselves in Confusion, and then get taken out with a Dragon Rage. Oh dear, that's most inconvenient for sure. I make another try soon after, and this time we are still slower than Golbat, despite being a few levels higher. And again, we get hit with a Confuse Ray, which very much not ideal. It survives our Flamethrower and hits a crit Wing Attack, which is somewhat annoying before we do shake Confusion off and take it out with Hidden Power. Salandit is also faster and hits Poison Gas, but we shoot it down with Hidden Power, and that gives us a victory pretty quickly. Olivia then, and I do have a plan. I don't know how well it's going to work, but it is a plan regardless. 12% of a plan. I have to hope that it's enough. It's got to be. I don't have a lot else beyond this as a plan, and it might be apparent as the fight plays out what I was wanting to do. Anorith is first, and somehow it is faster. It hits us with a smackdown and does well over half our health, which is all part of the plan. We one hit that with Flamethrower, which also works in our favour. Then comes the Leap, and although we are faster, it survives our Flamethrower and hits us with Ancient Power, landing us on red health. Though we do take it out, and this is going well to plan. What doesn't play into my plan is that Lycanroc is faster and hits Bite to finish us off before we can smash it with our all-out pummeling reversal from very low health. Well, the plan was there, to be fair. What more could I do? Let's try this again. I make a lot of tries, and eventually I reach the conclusion that this is probably not likely at this point, and so I bow out gracefully and go off to train up some more. I eventually come back at level 40 and determined to hope for the best. Grinding is really rough in this game. I think it's arguably worse than Gen 5. I make some more tries and again it doesn't go to plan. We do take less damage, slightly, but we still don't outspeed Anorith or Lycanroc, and we still take quite a bit of damage from Lileep, so this is actually starting to worry me. And worse, remember, we've got another fight with her later on in the game, just to make things that little bit worse. Back on the grind trail then, and I might as well do some trivia while I'm here. It's not the first time I've used Growlithe in a challenge, but the last time was slightly over 2 years ago in March 2022, so I think it's due again. That game was Emerald, so another region where fire types probably don't do well. The beta Pokemon names in red and blue list Growlithe as Flaming. Along with Hisuian Braviary, it was one of the first 2 Hisuian forms to be officially revealed. It can be seen as a parallel to Vulpix. Both are Gen 1 Pokemon who evolve once via a Firestone. Growlithe is a version exclusive to Red, Blue in Japan, Gold, Fire Red and Heart Gold, while Vulpix is exclusive to Green, International Blue, Silver, Leaf Green and Soul Silver. Growlithe has a 75% chance of being male, while Vulpix has a 75% chance of being female. They are both in the Field Egg group, can both have the ability Flash Fire, and their shinies are both yellow from Gen 3 onwards. Both are based on canine creatures from Japanese folklore. Growlithe shares its category with Lillipup, Rockruff, Yamper and Fido, and that is a quintet of adorable doggos right there. They are all known as the puppy Pokemon. Growlithe and its evolved form are the only Pokemon with a male-female ratio of 3:1 that aren't in the human-like egg group. I finally train up to level 44 and make the choice to go against Olivia once more, and I'm hoping something gives here, since this is starting to become painful. We lose a few efforts, including one with Protect, and then an idea hits me, and I think this idea is an absolutely fantastic one, because we picked up a TM move earlier. The problem we had was getting outsped by Lycanroc, the slowest version of Lycanroc, I'll add. And what move do we have that we use throughout the fight? Flame Charge. Not as powerful, but the speed boost is a benefit. We take Anorith out with Flamethrower. We hammer into Lilip with Flame Charge attacks, getting hit with some Ancient Power attacks. It does get an Omni boost, which isn't ideal, and she does heal, but we bring it down with some Flamethrowers before we face the Lycanroc. We accelerate ahead of it and we full on end it with an all-out pummeling. Well, how about that? There is story stuff next, and we've got Aether Paradise and the battle with the Nihilego. Not a great matchup for us here, but we will have to see what we can do. I do manage it at the second attempt, using an Inferno Overdrive to end it. Neither Hidden Power nor Flamethrower do a lot of damage to it, so it is a bit of a tricky fight, but we do get there in the end. And of course, there's Luzamine here too. She's clearly not going to be important to the story, is she? There is a fight with How next, and I'm pretty unsure about how this might play out. That water starter is somewhat unnerving, I will say that. We can at least get return now that we're on the third island, eventually. Of course, the How fight goes badly, and there are so many efforts where we lose. Of course, the issue is Brion. We simply can't do enough damage to it. It has that water type Z move that just full on ends us with a single hit. And worse, we can't do enough damage to realistically hit her either. Crunch doesn't do enough. Reversal does if we are badly injured, which after a Bubble Beam would be the case. But of course the problem comes because if we do knock the Brion out, then the Raichu is faster. It has quick attack and is also faster anyway, so we are so badly injured that we've just got no chance of coming out the other side. I tried it with Protect, I tried it with the Flynium Z, I tried it with the Citrus Berry. We can hit Brion with a Crunch with either a defense drop or a crit, but not otherwise. So now we don't have to win to progress, but it's rather annoying that I've got to draw a line underneath it and call it a loss. Just to make things that bit more annoying, Guzma is next. Or at least I thought so, but that's not for a bit longer yet. Also, for more annoyance, we can't get return until after beating Nanu. I did get the Facade TM if I want a decent normal move, but we are stuck for the moment as I head towards the observatory and the Sophocles trial. I like this one, you know. A bit of good old-fashioned push buttons to make the Charger Bug move and line them up. It's a bit different anyway, and besides, it plays in with my Resident Evil background, or somewhat anyway, take of it what you will. The totem fight is very annoying. First, Togedemaru flinches us with Zing Zap, still one of the greatest move names of all time, and then uses Spiky Shield to block our Flamethrower, all while Skarmory is running support with Tailwind. We do eventually land a Flamethrower on the Metal Mouse Hedgehog thing and take it down, though we have been hit with Torment from Skarmory. It lands 2 Steel Wings to leave us on 1 HP, but a Hidden Power and a Flamethrower bring it down and give us the win. I would be tempted to do a Togedemaru run in this game, though I don't know how good it is. I did look and it does have a 435 base stat total. Wow, that might be a bit too good. Ah well. Now we've got the Guzma fight, and I was right about it being in this area, but we've got to do it now. I don't know how the Golisopod fight will go, but actually we might be okay. I think we'll be fine. Let's go and get this on. I was worried about taking a Razor Shell from it, but I remember that when Golisopod takes a beating, it flees to safety, and our Hidden Power does well over half its health, and it runs off to let Masquerain have a go. Masquerain is faster, it hits Air Slash, but we do down it with Hidden Power before we face Golisopod once again and take it down with another hidden power. On our way to the ghost trial now, so we should at least have a reasonable time of it here thanks to having Crunch. Or at least until I remember that Mimikyu is neutral to Crunch, and there's possibly also a Jellicent involved as well, so that's a bit worrying. And this trial does turn out to be quite worrying because Mimikyu is faster than us. And worse, if you can believe it or not, is the ability it has. So we can't hurt it the first turn, so we have to break its disguise. Meanwhile, it is murdering us with Shadow Claw, and also Bayonet keeps using Curse on us, which is really annoying when it gets summoned in. I wander back in at level 58 after a lot of grinding, and I'm wondering if this will make a difference even slightly. And slightly it does, but not to the point of difference. We might go down in 3 hits this time rather than 2, which handy but not useful. So I even resort to the same tactic that I did versus Olivia, using our Flame Charge to boost our speed, but our Fire Z move still doesn't one-hit the Mimikyu, but it is getting closer at least. There is one effort where we do take Mimikyu and Bayonet down, but Jellicent finishes us at the end. Okay, I wander back in at level 61. I think we might have a better time of it now. I am reasonably confident. Mind you, I was back at the start of this whole endeavour, and we saw how it's played out so far. It takes a moment or two, but we finally get it as we use Flame Charge to bust the disguise on the Mimikyu, which makes us faster. Bayonet doesn't go for Curse, which is a relief, and what we do, we hit the Z move on Mimikyu, but it survives. We have to tank a Feint Attack and a Shadow Claw, but we bring Mimikyu down. Bayonet finally goes for Curse, but with only a few HP left, we drop it with Crunch, and thank goodness for that! There is a Plumeria fight up ahead, and this gets annoying very, very quickly as she challenges us to fight. Despite us being over 20 levels higher, the Golbat is still faster than us and hits a wing attack, which at least doesn't do too much damage. Just to add insult to injury, it survives our hidden power on a Slither, hits another wing attack, and then we have to finish it off. Salazzle is faster, it hits a Sludge Bomb, but we do survive it at least and manage to land a hidden power, which does at least finish it off in 1 hit. Anyway, I'm off to Po Town next to fight my way through Team Skull, and while I'm here, let's talk about what's been happening on the channel. Not much of late, bar Pokemon Master Showdown every week, or at least that's the aim, and obviously the challenge every fortnight. I am glad it is fortnightly because this current one might have been difficult to knock out in a week for sure. On Master Showdown of late, we've had Hop versus Nemona, we've had Rika versus Luzamine, ironic considering the challenge I'm currently doing, and we're about to have Derek versus Lorelei if I've planned it right. At the time of writing, we hadn't recorded the next batch, but there was Sinnoh versus Sinnoh clash planned in and a Unova versus Unova clash, so more information will be ahead as and when. Challenge wise, the next one is going to be what I think is the first Gen 5 challenge of the year, as I do Pokemon Black with a single Patrat, which I think might well turn out to be interesting. As always, if you have any ideas for future challenges, head to the comment section down below or follow the links in the description to my Twitter and my Discord. Nearly got all the rest of the challenges planned out for the rest of the year now. Got 2 slots left, either side of the current Halloween challenge. I don't have a Carlos challenge booked in for the rest of the year at the moment, if anyone wants to suggest one. I also kind of have the Christmas challenge spot available as well, but if nobody has any better ideas, I'll do Delibirding something, since that seems to be fairly Christmassy. But, like I said, open to better ideas. After getting through Po Town and the Skull House, or whatever it is called, we have another fight with Guzma, and I am really not worried about this. We won pretty easily last time, and we do have a bit of a good advantage against him. He begins with Golisopod, and we blast it with Hidden Power to put it on red health, and it promptly skedaddles out of there to bring Pinsir in. Pinsir is not a threat to us, and we promptly flamethrower it out of existence. We finish Golisopod on the next turn when it comes back out with another hidden power. Then Masquerain is last, and I don't like how it is faster than us still. It hits Air Slash, but we shrug it off and end it with Flamethrower. We have a Gladion fight next, I believe. It does take 2 attempts, but even though I don't think you have to win to progress the game based on what happened during the first attempt, we do take the victory on the second attempt. We have to watch a little cutscene where Lily gets kidnapped first, but then we have to battle. Golbat is capable of surviving both Flamethrower and or Hidden Power, so we have to hit it twice to bring it down. But the bad news is, we get hit with 2 Acrobatics attacks to put us on red health. Then, Type Null comes out, but it's really Zoroark. It fails with Snarl and we end it with Reversal, which is what cost us in the first fight because it outsped us. Last is the real Type Null, and Reversal just straight up ends it. No idea who the next major fight is, but let's get going. I quickly start to think that it is actually Nanu, so we might be in for a fight and a half here. I was expecting this to be a bit later in the game, but here we are, so no time like the present. The fight goes badly. We do decent damage to Sableye with Flamethrower, and then we have to swallow a Power Gem that doesn't do too much damage at least. And then he heals it, but we take it down with 2 more Flamethrowers. Then comes Krokorok, and I think we will be fine right up until it outspeeds us and ends us with Earthquake. Oh dear. I train up a few more levels up to level 68, then come back at him. I've got Flame Charge back on, and because of that Persian, the fighting type Z Crystal. I might be levelling a lot, but there are a lot of tough fights upcoming, so I'm getting the training in where I can. Sableye is first, and although we get clumped with Fake Out and Power Gem, we can take it out with 2 Flame Charges before we face Krokorok again and we strike it hard with Flamethrower, and that just full on ends that to put us into a fight with a Lowland Persian. Dog versus cat then. Persian hits Fake Out and then we strike our Z move, going for an all out pummeling, which unfortunately it survives. For some reason I thought a Lowland Persian was normal and dark dual type, but it's not. It strikes Power Gem to put us on red health before Nanu heals the classy cat, which not ideal, but we can land another Flame Charge on it before finally we bring the heat even more and drop it with Flamethrower to give us a win over the 3rd Grand Trial. We have got another trip to Aether Paradise next, and I have a horrible feeling it's going to culminate in a fight with Loser Me. And while most of her team doesn't scare me, the Milotic she has really does terrify me. Hang on, I think I might be able to go back and get Return now. We can! Woo! That's my big hope. I do fight Thaba on the way up, largely because he irritates the crap out of me and his Hypno doesn't stand up to a crunch attack. I get ambushed by Guzma again when I wasn't expecting it, and I've actually deleted Hidden Power off in favour of Return, but we can still sweep. Flamethrower makes Golisopod leave the field quite quickly, which is nice, before Pinsir comes in and that thing actually outspeeds us this time and hits a Stone Edge, which, a bit worrying, but we burn it away hardily. Next up is Golisopod again, but we finish that off with Flamethrower before Vikavolt is next, and it is something we can outspeed at least and burn it down with Flamethrower. Last is Masquerain. It misses Air Slash and we duly shoot it down with our Flamethrower. The Loser Mean effort is pretty bad, I'm not going to lie, and it turns out that we don't have to win to progress the story, which is at least something. We can take the Clefable out right at the start easily enough with either Flamethrower or Return, but it soaks up our attacks quite nicely. We can't one-hit that. And then there's the Milotic who comes out next. We can't outspeed it. I don't want to get rid of another move to put Flame Charge on as well as Return, and we just get shot down by Hydro Pump. Now I would make several tries at this, but the 90 seconds of cutscene before the battle is just a bit more than I can bear at this point, and I bow out after 2 failed attempts. We don't need to win to progress, that is the main thing. The next major fight, I believe, is the Hapu one, and it is a ground type battle, so that is going to be worrying. especially since two of them are very much physical attackers in Golurk and Mudsdale, and the other two in Gastrodon and Flygon resist our fire moves. I think this is going to be incredibly difficult since we don't really get anything super effective against them, so I'm going to need to be able to brute force some incredibly bulky Pokemon. I'm getting on the grind trail then because we still have the Ultra Necrozma fight after. We still have, amongst others, another Olivia fight at the Elite Four, and we've also got How's Primarina to get past, as well as the rest of his team, so getting stronger is going to be a must. I've got the Meowth Pickup Brigade on the go to get me rare candies and possibly the leftovers too, since there is a 1% chance of them getting picked up. On Executor Island, I prepare to face Hapu. Of course, it's raining, isn't it? That's just fantastic in no way whatsoever. That means we are going to do less damage with our fire moves. I think this is going to be a long slog even though we are at level 75. Or at least I realise we don't fight her yet and we head to vast Pony Canyon. Okay then, the next totem trial is the Komo-O, or however that's pronounced. And we go into it and I make nearly 15 minutes worth of efforts on this thing. It gets an Omni boost right at the start, so hurting it is really difficult. I really wish we learned Play Rough in this game because that would make this fight an insane amount of simpler. But I've been using Aerial Ace and even combine it with the Z move in hopes of getting a crit that just never comes, and it's a massive pain. I feel like I probably need more levels at this point. We are slower than the Totem Pseudo, so we need to use Flame Charge to outspeed it, but of course it resists the move. Oh dear, I'm off to go and train. I come back at level 82 and take a few tries at this. Now it does go better, we are taking less damage for sure, and plus I do have 18 rare candies, so I'm done with grinding for the run for sure. The flying type Z move, which I want to call Skyward Strike for some reason, but that's obviously Legend of Zelda, does enough damage now that this, along with an Aerial Ace, can down the Totem Komo-O in quick order, and the Scizor is a simple matter to take down with Flame Charge. Interesting that, if we go for the Skyward Strike straight away, I did it again, didn't I? It brings Scizor in, but if we attack it normally, Noivern comes in. Very weird. Think this is the last of the totems now. Maybe, I'm not sure. We reach the Altar of the Sun next, and it's been a while since I've seen this cutscene or some variation of it play out. Actually, I've never seen this specific scene before because, like I said, I played Ultra Moon in the past, but the events are the same, it's just the faces that are different, and it's actually remarkable for sure. I mean, I do like the story in this game, it's just turning out to be an absolute slog doing a single Pokemon run in so far. This is definitely in the harder echelons of challenges that I've done. At least Necrozma isn't too bad to beat when we face it, even if it is possessing / controlling / merged with Solgaleo. 2 flamethrowers are enough to bring it down, but I wonder if the next time we fight it, it's going to be so easy. I doubt it somehow. If we struggle with the Totem Komo-O, I feel like Ultra Necrozma is going to be a nightmare. We will see. If you are wondering how it goes, badly is the answer for sure. We are still at that level 82 as we wander out to face it, and when we face the giant golden being of light, I'm filled with optimism. We then get outsped and one-shot with Power Gem. Twice. Oh dear. I can see this being rough. I'm going to boost the level and try again. At level 90, I make another stab, and it's still the same story, as we get outsped and one-shot. Oh dear again, I'm definitely worried now, because if we just get outsped and one-shot every single time, then that's quite bad. At level 95, it's the same story. Still outsped, still one-shot. I suppose there is a reason why this Pokemon is considered ridiculously overpowered, and I am starting to get that sinking feeling. At level 100, we can weather a Power Gem. Sometimes, which is not ideal. Our Dark-type Z move doesn't one-hit the Ultra Necrozma, and part of me worries at the problem of how to do this until I figure that maybe double team with a lax incense is our best chance. And eventually, I don't know how many attempts it takes, but we do eventually do it, and I am so relieved. Thanks to 2 double teams and the lax incense, we managed to avoid enough attacks to come out and survive the battle unscathed. We managed to hit the 3 requisite crunches needed to bring the Ultra Necrozma down. We did lose about 50 attempts, but the one we won is the one that counts. I've got a boss rush now for Mina's trial, and well, it begins with a battle versus the lady herself. I am not even slightly concerned about this battle, as she begins with Mawile, and given we are nearly double its level, we burn it up pretty easily. I mean, it does tag us with Sucker Punch, but we shrug it off. Gramble also goes down to a Flamethrower before Ribombee is last, and although it tags us with Psychic, we soon bring it down with a Flamethrower. This won't be the last Ribombee we fight here in this room, but for now, we're collecting petals! Next up is Elima, I think. We head to Howley Cemetery, pronunciation notwithstanding, and we rock up with our max level Growlithe. And Elima has a Gumshoes, a Smeargle, and it's a good thing we outspeed, since apparently it knows Surf and a Kamala. We burn through the Gumshoes and Smeargle with Flamethrower attacks, but rather remarkably, the Kamala at the end does survive our Flamethrower and hits us, but we do have to finish it with Reversal. Mallow is my next fight, and I would be impressed if she actually lays anything on us. Mind you, I wasn't aware of this at the time, but I looked out, because if this was Ultra Moon, I'd have to fight Lana, which would be absolutely worse. Trevenant does actually survive a Flamethrower, but only because it's raining, and we get tagged with a Shadow Claw, before taking it out with Crunch. Trevenant survived a Flamethrower. Neither Sarina or Shinotic do. Both of them go down pretty quickly to Teddy's firepower, and we can move on. Kiawe is the next battle, and at least we resist his main stab attacks, so that's something. And even after we have the little back and forth with him and Hiker David, we begin the fight, and he starts with an Arcanine. Teddy proves out to be the top dog though, and we soon wreck his evolved form with 2 hidden power attacks, though we do get struck with extreme speed. Next is Talonflame, and although we get struck with Brave Bird, our hidden power wrecks it hard, meaning we can fight the Alola Marowak, and once again, hidden power is enough to bring it down and give us the win. Before we can leave, Hiker David does have a go at us, but when the fight starts, his Magmar doesn't stand up to a hidden power. I have to fight Sophocles next. He may have one possible obstacle here, but we will have to see how this works out. That problem is Alolan Golem, and well, we will have to see. He begins with Togedemaru, and thankfully he doesn't mess about with the likes of Spiky Shield, and we shoot out a Flamethrower to bring it down hard before he resorts to his next choice of Golem. We take it out with 2 hidden powers, and it misses a Stone Edge on us in the interim, so that was pretty lucky, before the Magnezone is last, and we burn through that pretty easily to give us the win over the kid. Time to face the Totem Pokemon then, since we have acquired the 7 petals, thanks to Lana and Nanu giving them up to us with little trouble, and Mina summons the Ribombee for us to fight. And this is actually quite worrying, as it gets an Omni boost right at the start, and then proceeds to spam Quiver Dance, which, if it did go on the attack, could be very, very worrying. We hit that with a Fire-type Z move, and it survives, before summoning Blissey in. We can finish the Ribombee off though, and Blissey goes down to a Crunch, so I think we should be fighting Hapu next. Let's find out. Yeah, you know, I was right. We fight Hapu on Executor Island, and though we lose the first attempt to Mudsdale's Z move, I feel optimistic that, with a better damage roll, we will beat her down pretty easily. So, we can one-hit Golurk with Crunch, that's not an issue. We can then move on to the battle with Mudsdale, and this time our flamethrower one hits it from full health, and that is massive, but the last two of her team could be rough. Gastrodon survives return and hits muddy water, but there's no negative consequences beyond damage, and we hit another return to take it out before Flygon is last. It survives return but only hits earth power, which is good because Flygon is really not a special attacker, and we survive to take it out with another return. Phew. 4 grand trials down. On the way to the Pokemon League, we're ambushed by Gladion, who wants to fight us as thanks for what we did. This fight takes place in a snowstorm, which is not ideal at all, given hail still caused damage at this point. The leftovers save us in this fight though. He begins with Crobat, who hits us with acrobatics, but we then down it with a flamethrower. Zoroark is next and it outspeeds us and hits a dark type Z move, Black Hole Eclipse, which nearly ends us, but we barely survive and can take it out. But we are on red health now, so any hit will end us. We outspeed Silvally and take it out with Reversal, before thankfully we outspeed Lucario. Thankfully it either didn't have or never went for extreme speed, and we also dropped that with Reversal. I think we're going to be unscathed in terms of major fights now until we get to the Pokemon League. As we go through Victory Road, I think about what's ahead in the Elite Four. Now, as I run through who the fights are, Kahili I don't think should be an issue. We do have our Rock type hidden power, we do have Wild Charge as well, so we should be okay there. There is the possibility of getting outsped and hurt, but bar Bone Rush and Rock Blast on Mandibuzz and Toucannon, there's no stab at least. Mullane we should be okay versus because we do have the stab advantage, but there is a Prankster Klefki with Thunder Wave and a Magnezone with Sturdy that could be worrying, plus a Metagross. I'm really not worried about Acerola, however you pronounce it. I think it's Acerola, and I wonder if that's going to come back and haunt me at all. We have Crunch. Some of her team is weak to fire in the form of Delmise and Frostlass, so we will see. Olivia absolutely freaking terrifies me if I'm honest. We had issues with the Lycanroc earlier in the game. She also has a Probopass with Sturdy and Thunderwave, and a Gigalith too with both Stone Edge and Bulldoze, plus the Lycanroc again, and we've already seen what that Z move does to us. Oh, and she also has 2 means of putting up sandstorm conditions, so I'm not filled with confidence. In the centre, outside the Pokemon League, here are our stats at level 100. Both our attack stats are pretty decent, let's be honest. I don't think whichever route we go down, that's going to be the issue. I'm far more concerned about our defence and speed being low, particularly that physical defence. Something is going to absolutely smite us here, I can tell. And there has also still been stuff out there that is outspeeding us, so that is going to be a massive issue, I can tell. Take your guesses on if we can do this or not right now, folks. Let's get it on. I do Kahili first, as I'm expecting her to be probably amongst the easiest of the fights, and things do turn out that way. She begins with a Braviary, and we shoot it down with a hidden power pretty promptly, before the next opponent is Mandibuzz. It survives hidden power and hits Brave Bird before we finish it with another hidden power. Hawlucha is next and hits Flying Press, but we blast it with Flamethrower before we have to face Toucannon, and again our Flamethrower comes in clutch as we burn it up pretty badly. Last is Oricorio, and we down it with hidden power to give us a quick win. I face Acerola next, and I'm pretty sure we won't have an issue, and I'm right bar 1 or 2 moments. Bayonet goes down to a Crunch before we do take Palossand down in the same way before it can unleash that Z move. Delmise goes down to a Flamethrower before Frostlass outspeeds us and hits a Confuse Ray, which isn't quite ideal. I said stuff would still outspeed us. It takes a few turns for us to down Drift Blim with Crunch thanks to other circumstances, but we do get there eventually. Okay then, Mullane. and this actually does turn into a brick wall because of the reasons I laid out before. But for 2 abilities in this fight, things would be so very simpler. I make a bunch of tries and the prankster Klefki actually misses most of the thunder waves, which is pretty good because if we come out without being paralysed, things are simpler. However, we do still get outsped by Dugtrio every single time and hit with Earthquake, which we can survive, but it causes massive, massive damage. Now, if we could go and one-hit everything else in the battle, that would be fine, but it's not that simple. Metagross goes down to Flamethrower, but the Sturdy on the Magnezone stops us flat, and we get finished by Thunderbolt. So, I think my only option here is to use Flame Charge to try and get faster than Dugtrio, which may be asking a lot. I was wondering why Dugtrio wasn't using the Z move and then remembered Mullane is a Steel type specialist, not a ground one. Doi. I put Flame Charge onto Teddy and try this again, but at this point the Thunder Waves start connecting, to the point that I do need to put my one and only Cherry Berry onto Teddy, which isn't ideal at all because it does mean I am denying myself the option versus Olivia. But yeah, one Flame Charge on Klefki is enough to make it so that we do outspeed Dugtrio, and without being hit by Earthquake, the Sturdy from Magnezone isn't a problem, as we can survive a Thunderbolt, we can take it down in 2, though we do have to hit it a few more times than that, thanks to him healing it. Mullane's Bisharp is very much not a problem as we burn it up to give us a win over the 3rd Elite 4 member. How many tries is Olivia going to take then? Oh, I am really not looking forward to this at all, I will say that. So, how bad is it, you may wonder? I try for the best part of an hour and there's maybe one really promising effort, but for the most part, a lot of them go pretty similar. So, Armaldo has a Rock Blast, which is a multi-hit move. 2 of them don't do enough damage to hurt us, but 4 will knock us out if there's a decent damage range. So, that's a gamble. The reason that we do need to be hurt is because of Reversal, and I really wish I got a better super effective move. So, we can one-hit Armaldo with Flamethrower, or 2-hit it with Flame Charge. Gigalith has both Stone Edge, which hurts a lot, and Bulldoze, which doesn't hurt as much, but the speed drop can be killer. We do burn Gigalith a lot over these attempts, but the Sandstorm is a problem. So, we do use Double Team a lot, but of course, there is one thing it doesn't save us from. With the Sand Up, it keeps our health steady. I do try the Z Crystal a few times, but the Sand will pretty much end us then, without any health recovery. And Lycanroc has the Z move, so that does bypass the Double Teams, which, massively infuriating for sure. And unless we are in red health, Reversal is not a kill shot on Lycanroc. So, seeing our efforts go up into smoke is soul destroying. The one time we get a crit with Reversal is when we are about 2/3 of our health full, so it doesn't do anywhere near enough damage even with the crit. There is one effort where we make it to Cradilly, having taken down Gigalith, Lycanroc and Probopass, but it lands a Rock Tomb through 6 double teams and ends us when we're low health. So much has to go right for this to happen. I wonder if it can be done with the resources that we actually have to work with. It takes well over an hour of effort, and finally we get one, and I hit on the idea of using Protect to block the Z move to a point. Now, we can't completely weather the blow, but we can soften it somewhat, which is what we need because a full power Z move can probably wreck us from full health easily. And so our strategy changes from being hurt really badly going into Lycanroc to we need as much health as we can going into Lycanroc, which is a bit of a 180. We lose plenty of efforts to Armaldo, even some to Gigalith when it starts hitting stone edges. Some of them through 6 double teams, which should be mathematically unlikely according to my calculations. There are 2 attempts where we make it to Lycanroc, survive the Z move, and then it also hits Stone Edge through the double teams, but eventually we make it! We get 6 double teams versus Armaldo, We managed to burn it down with Flamethrower. We managed to take down the Growlithe without getting hurt, and we survived the Z move with Lycanroc before taking it down with Flamethrower and Reversal as it misses Stone Edge. Probopass is a 2-hit with Reversal, surviving thanks to Sturdy but missing Thunder Wave, and then Cradily is a 2-hit with Flamethrower, so I wasn't sure if we could do this, but looks like we made it! We are at the end, and it is Hal then for the final fight, and I am going to get rid of Reversal. I'm going to put Hidden Power, Wild Charge and Return on and take it from there. I think I will need all these moves to show. I wish I still had Crunch for the Raichu, but oh well. Anyway, Raichu is faster, but I could possibly have guessed that. It doesn't hurt us too much and we can take it out with Return. Tauros is also faster and goes for Earthquake, which really hurts, but we can down it with Flamethrower. The problem is the Intimidate. He likes to go for Crabominable next to bait the Fire move and then go into Flareon, who we can eventually drop down with Returns or Hidden Power, but it is bulky enough to be a bit of an annoyance. Primarina is an issue because, thanks to Intimidate, it can survive Wild Charge and end us with its Z move, which not ideal. I re-evaluate my strategy and I go again. I swap Return for Flame Charge and figure that if we can outspeed Tauros and don't get hit with Earthquake, we should have enough health to make it through the fight, and so I replace the leftovers with the Electric Z Crystal. One Flame Charge means that we are suddenly fast enough to outspeed Raichu, which is massive in the scheme of the fight for sure, because speed is king. We get hit with Thunderbolt, but it's not the end of the world. Hal swaps Raichu out for Primarina, and thanks to us not being intimidated by Tauros, we can drop her with a single Wild Charge. Then it's Tauros and we Flamethrower the Wild Bull down. We are faster and so we don't get hurt by it. Crabominable is in. I try to second guess him and go for Hidden Power in case of the switch, but he doesn't swap and thankfully misses Stone Edge on us when Crabominable survives the Hidden Power but goes down to Flamethrower. Raichu is back in, he heals it, but we drop it with 2 Flame Charges. Hal goes for Noivern and then, as we go for Hidden Power, switches into Flareon, prompting our assault on the Fire-type evolution. And we soon bring it down without it really laying anything onto us, thanks to him wasting time by healing it. Noivern does survive a Hidden Power and hits Dragon Pulse, but thankfully it isn't enough to bring us down, and despite his best efforts to save it by healing, we soon bring the Noivern down and we successfully defend our hard-earned champion title. We enter the Hall of Fame and I feel like that was an accomplishment. Seriously though, that was a top tier challenge. Obviously, I don't know this game quite as much as I do others in the franchise, particularly Gens 1 through 6, so this was a nice change. I did enjoy it, trying to work out how to get around certain obstacles that I couldn't brute force my way through. I'm not going to lie, I did think Olivia might bring us crashing to a halt, but I got out the other side. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, call out with a comment, smash that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. It's good for the algorithm. I think I need to lie down after this. Join me again next time for another Pokemon challenge as we go for something simpler, hopefully, and head to Pokemon Black to see if I can beat it with just a single Patrat. I don't know, I haven't looked at it so far, but my guess would be amazingly in-depth moveset coverage but low stats. These early stage normal types usually do that. I don't know how it'll do, I mean that's a challenge for May. I wrote this on the 1st of April. I'm recording this last bit on the 10th of April and that's a couple of days before my birthday. Mind you, at the time of writing I needed to finish recording the audio for the Crystal with HM challenges if I'm honest. I was a little behind in that sense. At the time of writing, that challenge was due to go up in 6 days, so it felt like I was cutting it a little close. I managed it. I used to do one of these a week. It's just been the way things have unfolded over recent days. Anyway, join me for the next challenge, folks. If you have any ideas for future challenges, head to the comment section down below or follow the links in the description to my Twitter or my Discord. Happy to receive them. Until then folks, until that next time, I'm going to bow out. Take care, have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye bye now, so long, see ya, take care. If you did watch up to this point folks, thank you very much because I'm aware this is a really long video. Bye bye.